Hello, good evening, everybody. Hi, Mr. Sham. Hi, parents and students. Welcome to our PSLE 2026 Excellence Series, helping your child prepare for PSLE English. So this webinar is for parents, but also for students, okay? So I would encourage all the P6ers to be with your parents during this webinar so that you can hear what we're telling them and you can help them help you during this, on this journey, okay, in this year. We have less than a year, actually. We have less than 12 months, right, to PSLE, and I'm sure all of you are preparing. It's been January. I'm sure you're starting to feel slightly anxious. Maybe you're starting to have more homework. Okay, but I hope you are coping well and you are getting the support you need. So for a start, can we? I know Mr. Sham loves to do this. We want an emoji, okay, of how you're feeling today after 1 month. After 1 month in P6, right? How are all of you feeling? Okay, how are all of you feeling? Or parents, you can share your emoji as well. Okay, how are all of you feeling? Because we've come to the end of Jan, right? So share with us, and if you have any questions during the webinar, just feel free to ask your question in the chat or in the Q&A. Okay, we'll try our best to answer your questions. Okay, I see some are very some funny faces. Some of you seem to be coping well. Some are sweating. Yeah. So, can everybody see my screen? Yes, Mrs. Sham, thank you very much. So today, it's both of us. Myself, I'm Mavis. I'm the head of English at Mind Stretcher, and with me is our senior teacher and master teacher, Mrs. Sham Hui, who is here with us as well. So, if you have any questions, please ask us. We have taught students for many years, okay, and we have met all kinds of students. So we'll try our best to answer your questions. Okay, so why are we here today? Can we just have a sense, right? Whether it's parents or students, how familiar are you with the PSLE English paper? And I'm talking about all four papers, paper one, two, three, and four. Are you familiar, or are you here today to just find out what is my child going to be tested on? So share with us really candidly in the chat. Okay, and Mrs. Sham will be able to see the chat as well. So what we want to focus on today would be a couple of things, right? The first thing is we must know what your child or what students are being tested at PSLE. And students will know because they have gone through P5, right? But parents may not. So quite familiar, that's great. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're 8. Or you're a student. If you're a student, you should be a 10, not an 8. Okay, so if you're an 8, I hope today, after today's session, you'll be a 10, okay? We want to look at certain key challenges that you're facing. So if you're a student, I hope you know what challenges you're facing. If you are not so sure, I hope you get some clarity today. What can we do to strengthen some of the basic skills? What are some low-hanging fruit in terms of components we can work on from now so that we have more time to, whether it's building speaking skills or writing skills, okay, we should start already. We are going to go through a target setting exercise as well. So in Luma, we've shared a document for target setting. I've shared it in our uh, Telegram group as well. So if it's possible, could you share it in the chat as well with our parents? Okay, the target setting document, we'll do that later. What parents can do to support their children and any other questions. Okay, so let's make sure we know 100% what's happening at PSLE. Thank you. Yeah, there are P5 parents here too. Thank you for joining us. In terms of, that's why I said there are four papers, and all four papers, they test different skills. But if you look at the points I've highlighted in yellow, you'll see that vocabulary, grammar, structures, they keep appearing because uh, it doesn't mean that you only tested for grammar in one paper, right? When you speak, the examiners are listening if your sentence structures are accurate, if you're using the correct tenses, whether you are clear, whether you're logical, and so on. So grammar and vocabulary, they are very important components, very important skills you need to have. You need to know your grammar rules and your vocabulary. So for this year, our students will be conducting master classes for our MyStretcher students, and you'll be joining them to make sure that you learn all of these rules and all of these skills you need to tackle the examination. Okay? So in terms of writing, you're doing two sections, right? The composition writing and situational writing. Students often ask us, should I spend? Okay, so if it's 1 hour and 10 minutes, usually about 50 minutes on composition and about 20 minutes on situational writing. Okay, and of course, later on I will share the rubric for composition writing when we are talking about that. Uh, in terms of writing, they're always assessing your ability to, at your level at PSLE, story arc, right? This answers and develops the theme using one picture meaningfully. Last week, I was conducting a composition writing class, and we were planning the story arc, right? So I always encourage the students to plan from the climax, because if the climax is where the theme is most intensely developed. So we start from there, and my student was like, shouldn't this part be later? I said, well, if it comes later, then it's not developed. The front part of your composition is about something else. So we need to plan according to the theme. We know our story arc, but we still have to plan. So these are skills that we are going to explore. Oh, upcoming next Saturday, we are going to begin the first session of our compo writing webinar. So please do join us, okay? So that's paper one. In terms of using vocabulary, it must always be appropriate, so not bombastic, but relevant, appropriate, and effective. So if you're trying to create an atmosphere, do you know what's an atmosphere? Okay, you're trying to create mood and atmosphere. What kind of imagery do you use? What kind of figurative language do you use? Okay, not just memorize a whole list and then you just use them uh, randomly. So that's not what we want our students to do. Okay, so that's writing. Paper two, I think everyone's very familiar, right? Paper two is where you get your MCQs and all that. And of course, the various sections, be testing different skills. Later on, we'll do a poll and see which one is most challenging for you. Listening comprehension, in the past few years, there are more inferential questions now, testing not just your inferential skills, but also your vocabulary. Like, can you spot that this phrase means this word? So you heard this phrase in the listening text, and then this word appears in the option. Do you know that they actually mean the same thing? Okay, so you might not hear the exact word. You might not see the exact words that you're hearing in the listening paper. Okay, it might be a synonym. Paper four, oral communication. So this is something that I'm not sure how are all of you doing for oral communication. How did you do in P5 for your end of year oral exam? Okay, it's about 40 now. So if you are a very good reader, okay, very lively, animated, expressive, and clear, you're probably doing well in reading aloud. And what about SBC? Wow, all of you are doing so well. It's very good. Okay, keep up the good work. And for SBC, stimulus-based conversation, are you able to answer the question? Are you able to very quickly respond to a question clearly and elaborate with examples, experiences, and so on? Okay? Okay, so this is just an overview of the four papers. If you have older siblings who took PSLE last year, then you will know this as well. So parents, if your child, you have an older child taking PSLE last year, you would have been familiar with this, right? That there is a change in the weighting of some components. Okay, so in continuous and situational writing, now it's 25%, 50 marks, 25%. And I highlighted 25% and 20% because you realize that now composition, just continuous writing, and oral communication they're really close in terms of weighting. It's like writing is as important as being able to write well is as important as being able to speak clearly and well. Okay, so these are this, and I think it's good because it's important not just write and to be able to write very well, but to be able to also express yourself confidently and clearly. Okay. Visual text decrease in number of questions, but now there are two texts, more like secondary level. So if you have children in secondary school, you'll know that when it comes to visual text comprehension, they have two texts, one with graphics and the other is just pure text. Okay. Situational writing now, there's this one bullet point with your own idea. So in the past, before 2025, all the information in the situational writing, you can find all the pieces of information, you can find them in the speech bubbles, in the picture. But now there's one point which requires students to develop their own idea using clues from the text, making the right inferences and providing a logical response. Okay, so at secondary level, you have to do this times 30, okay, but now you're just doing one bullet point. So it's just something, and I think it's important, right? When you're doing situational writing, um, in real life, when you're writing a note and a letter, you have to think of these ideas on your own. So it is not unreasonable and so on. I think it's a very important skill to have. Okay, let's see. Are there any questions? No? Mrs. Shum is being missed. Okay, let's take a look at some key challenges. Okay, some key challenges. Uh, I hope you know, but do you know? Let's see. Okay, let's have our first poll question. Students, you can students, if you're here, you will select. If parents, you're here, you can share with us what do you think are the three most difficult sections, or based on your primary five results or practices, how are you doing? So that Mrs. Sham and I get a sense, okay, of your challenges. Mm. Comprehension open-ended. Ah, we are not surprised, right? Comprehension open-ended. Um, there are now more kinds of questions. The skills might be similar, but because they format the question a little differently, might look like, oh, I've never seen this before. Okay, so you might feel a little anxious. Composition, right? Hmm. Comprehension close. You don't need to do a screenshot of every slide. Actually, we will be sharing this video as well. So if you find something useful, you can take a screenshot and all that. But not every slide will contain. They're just discussion points. Okay, I would say they're just discussion points. So you can just take notes or discuss it with your child, because I think many of these things your children already know. Let's end the poll. Okay, let's end the poll. I think we see Mr. Sham. Let's share the poll results, right? So comprehension open-ended is the most challenging uh, for a variety of reasons. For those of you who put comprehension open-ended as the most challenging, what's so challenging about it? Can you share it with us in the chat? Okay, what's so challenging? Is it you don't understand the passage, or you are looking at the right part of the passage, but your answers are always just missing the mark? What's the challenge you're facing? Okay. Now, usually over here, we guide our students, right? So if you're a Mind Stretcher student, we go through the text, we look at the questions, we unpack the questions. Every question has a different requirement. Certain keywords in questions are telling you how to answer the question. So if you miss these keywords, then you'll be lost. So the moment you know how the questions are set, what the questions want of you and your answer, then your answers can be more accurate. Okay, so our teachers go through that with our students. And of course, like I mentioned, there'll be more support given to all of you, okay, in terms of comprehension skills. Okay, the hard words. Okay. Difficult to tell where the answer lies. No, when they organize the questions, it's usually in the same sequence as how the text is flowing. So, for example, question one, the answer is somewhere in paragraph one, usually, right? They won't set question one and then the answer is in paragraph seven. No. Okay. So, if you are looking, you're having difficulty looking for an answer, then know that it's usually question one answer. It's somewhere at the start of the text and so on. And the last question, if it's evaluative, you may have to look at two different parts of the text. If not, it's usually towards the end, right? So keep that in mind as well. Let's see. Doesn't know how to answer indirect questions. Indirect questions, inferential questions, right? Inferential questions require you to make links. And there are many kinds of inferential questions actually. So we explore that in our classes, and also yeah, upcoming we'll be giving you lots of master classes to break down these question types, okay? Let's see. Passage can be confusing. When we are given a passage, don't do speed reading, okay? That's for comprehension. Don't do speed reading. Like, I want to read and then do the questions. No. You're given a passage, take your time to read it properly, okay? Because if you do speed reading, you might find it confusing. Like, I saw some keywords, but actually I don't know what the text is about. So take your time, do tracking. Okay, some sentences are more complex. You might have to take some time to understand and draw links to the sentences before and after. So do not rush reading the passage, because I know some students do. And that means that you have to manage your time carefully for paper two, right? You cannot just spend 15 minutes on comprehension OE. It's not enough time. You need 30 to 40 minutes to do comprehension OE properly. Okay? Tricky questions. It's all about keywords. Yes. Yes. Behavior. Feeling are always adjectives. Behaviors are always verbs, right? So you need to know some of these things, okay? Like if they're asking for action, oh, I need a verb phrase. Okay? If I'm asking about a character's emotion, you could use a noun or an adjective. And nothing more. You don't have to talk about other things. Just answer the question. Using the answer depends on how the question is phrased. And you need to also check your answer for grammatical errors, because if it's grammatically wrong, the meaning could change because you used a wrong preposition, for example. If you use a wrong linking word, the meaning changes, right? And then you don't get the mark. So you need to know the basics of grammar. That's why we talked about grammar rules. Okay? Thank you for sharing. Let me stop share over here. Composition writing, there are techniques and skills for you to learn. I can't dive into that today, but we are going to have some workshops coming up. Okay, so do join us. Comprehension close is vocab and grammar. So comprehension close, they are thematic closes, right? So some about animals, some about history, some about geography, trends, culture. So you need to know whenever you see a passage, is it about science and tech? Is it about animals? Because different texts have different types of vocabulary, right? When you're looking at texts that talks about technology, exploration, right? You'll see words like innovation, invention. You see words like that. Whereas when you look at a text about an animal, you see words like habitat, weight, height, predators. You see words like that. So different kinds of text. There will be different types of contextual vocabulary. So that's one way to start learning and grouping, okay, and making sure that every time you come across a passage, so what is this text about? And then these are the words I will always see when I come across texts like that. Okay, so that's how you can build your vocab. Okay, why students struggle with PSLE from our experience? Um, Less so now. In the past, I think during my time, my teacher, no one studies for English, when I was a student. I study for my other subjects. I don't study for English because I'm like, I don't know how to study for English. But now, the teachers, especially at my stretcher, we teach you skills and techniques, and you can study and you have to study for English. Okay, all the components. Reading habits. You're in P6, so if you're in P6 and you want to read, of course you can read for fun, to relax. Okay, instead of playing games, video games, or your Nintendo, your Switch, instead of doing that to relax, you read a book for fun to relax. It's fine. If you're trying to build vocabulary by reading books, I think that's not so strategic because there are so many books, right? So what should you start reading? Uh, it You can just start from our worksheets, right? When Mrs. Shum writes a lot of our worksheets, right? So when she selects a text, she's not doing it randomly. She's selecting a text and intentionally putting in a lot of good structures, a lot of good vocabulary, a lot of good uh collocations, figurative language, so that you can learn vocabulary and structures just by doing a worksheet with a passage. So you can start from there. And then additional reading, National Geographic, BBC, news, and so on. If you don't like to read the news, then watch, listen. Okay, at least you are always listening to good English. Okay, you're listening to good, accurate English. Okay, so take advantage of all the resources you have. It doesn't mean that if this is a comprehension passage, that means I just read it for comprehension. No. When you see a comprehension passage, it's also like a model composition, right? There is a theme, there are characters, there's beginning, middle, and end. To beef up your composition uh, writing skills. Okay? So use what you have to benefit all papers you are doing. I believe many students are making an effort. Are all of you making an effort? I need to ask the parents this. Are all the students making an effort? Making an effort doesn't mean, yeah, I studied. So every day, blocking out specific amount of time, okay, that's sustainable. Sustainable. So you cannot say, after school, I have to study for 8 hours. I don't think that's very sustainable. You'll be tired, right? So you have a number of subjects. For English, when are you doing English? Every time you're doing English, are you just doing MCQs? MCQs are important, but what about writing skills? Okay, what about speaking? So you need to make sure that all four papers, okay, you're working on all four of them. And lastly, carelessness. You know, carelessness, I can't help you. And poor handwriting. Poor handwriting. Poor handwriting. You need to write bigger and neater. Because the examiners want to mark and give you the marks smoothly. Okay? So make their jobs easier for you so that you can get your marks, right? If an A looks like a U, then it could just basically be a spelling error, right? Because you're not going to argue with the examiner and say, oh, but this is an A, it's not a U. So make sure you are you are the vector of your work. If it doesn't look like, and you know your alphabet, if it doesn't look like that letter, change it. Okay? So it's important. These are things that even at secondary level, Mr. Sham will tell you, we, we can't read some of the handwriting, and it's very unfortunate because they might have gotten the idea, but they don't get the mark.
Yeah,
Okay,
at
so
this point, can I add something?
sure.
You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, yes.
So what happens is poor handwriting. It's not just writing being squeezed together. Some
Mm,
of them from primary, lower primary, they have this nasty habit when they have a misspelling, instead of canceling the
mm,
word and rewriting it properly above or below, they will just scratch out a letter and
mm.
replace the letter separately at the top.
Yes,
Are you
yes.
able to annotate or write
Let
here?
me see. Yes,
Maybe
I
we
can.
should,
I can. Give
yeah,
me a
we should
moment.
show them what they should not do. This is a very bad habit.
Okay, so
Say, for
so for it.
example, a difficult word like necessary, a commonly
Oh,
misspelled word.
this
A
is
lot of
yellow. Let
them
me
will
check.
write Neccesary, for example. It
Okay,
should be
don't
a
do
single
this.
C. Yeah,
So
it's a
don't.
single C.
So
So
just
sometimes they will cancel. Yeah, they end
and
up
cancel.
canceling.
Yeah. So if you write something wrongly, let's say you do this, okay? I say, oh, just cancel the whole word and spell it again.
And also
Okay.
underline the parts where you get it wrong, like the single C, double S. The other nasty thing that they do is they split up individual words. And this affects their scores for closed passage because you're supposed to fill in one word, but sometimes I see two words, like withstand. So withstand is one word, like withstand suffering. If you split with and stand and you have a big space in between, although the answer sounds correct, it looks wrong, and it is wrong because it is two separate words. So spacing, very sloppy ways of correction, these have to be changed as soon as possible. The other thing I also tell them, many of them do fancy, they try to do what you call cursive writing, but their letters are not very well formed. So the A, B, D, E, I, for example, sometimes they don't dot the I's, or their T looks like an F. All these count as mistakes if the examiner cannot read your writing. So legibility is a huge problem. And if for those whose children are rather sloppy in their writing, do take note of this.
Okay. Yeah. This is important because you can have all the exam skills, right? And all the knowledge. But then if we cannot read it, then it's a waste. Okay? This is very important. It's a basic. Thank you, Mrs. Sham. Okay, so let's move on. Just now I wanted to show all of you the rubric, right? So this is just a quick look. So I've selected the composition, continuous writing rubric, and for speaking and SBC, the top band. So if you're looking at trying to score full marks, because when I meet my students, I always ask them, what are you getting for content and language, right? And then they will say, I'm at band 3. Oh, I'm stuck at band 4. I can't get to band 5. I can't get to the highest band. So if you are stuck at band 3 or 4, there are reasons. Like, how do you move up? How do you move up to the next level? Right? How do you move up to the next? Okay, how do you move up to the next level? So what we want is we want to be, as the months pass, we want to achieve these top band scores. So what's fully relevant? Fully relevant just means from start to end. There's no side story, irrelevant information, okay? Irrelevant characters. We want it to be fully relevant in answering the topic and developing the ideas, okay, relevant to the topic. When it comes to highly interesting and thoroughly developed, are you using your different writing skills like opening hook, ending with a satisfying conclusion, reflection? Okay, are you doing effective characterization? Okay, so a lot of and at this point, I just want to, every year we say the same thing, right? A lot of students say that I need a twist in my story to get band 5. That's not true. If you don't do a twist properly, you might end up in terms of organization over here, okay? So please don't don't do that, okay? A twist is not necessary. You are not writing a 50-page story or something like that. There's no time for a twist as well. So don't force it. Write a story that follows an arc, okay? So it's not necessary to have to do. You can have a very straightforward story, but you still get highly interesting because of your use of techniques and language. Okay? Then in terms of accuracy, look at all these things. So if you are making no spelling errors, but a lot of grammar errors, you won't be able to move up the band, right? But once you have cleaned up all these things, then you'll start to see that you're moving up. Okay, so some students say, I'm not making tense errors anymore, but I'm still stuck here because maybe you're making other kinds of errors. So we want to improve all these things, okay, so that our marks here go up. Vocabulary and structures. Yeah.
We should also remind them under expression.
Mm.
Some of them think that if they use bombastic words or huge words, then they'll do very well. But if you don't use the words appropriately, you use them wrongly, then you won't score well, because it tells the examiners that you actually don't know the meanings of the words. You're just randomly putting idioms and all kinds of things in there with no actual relevance. So one simple way, maybe we should write some of the things down. One very simple way, maybe from next week onwards, when you write a composition, do a check on all your verbs, for example. One very simple way to improve is not to repeat words like said or walked more than once or twice. Can you replace said with, can any of you type in the chat if you get what I mean? When you describe how people look or how people talk, when you have dialogue, don't say said Sandra, right? If the person is angry, then you have to write something like bellowed or chirped, yelled, mentioned, questioned. Yes. And you also don't want to use too many sentences starting with I. Like, for example, I was scared. I was too scared. I couldn't move. How about you do synthesis and transformation? Too frightened, comma, I stood rooted to the ground. Or too frightened, I stood rooted to the ground, rather than I stood there not being able to move. So you switch things over. These are very, very simple ways to get your examiners to see that you are using vocabulary and structures. Things that you learn in synthesis and transformation, you should apply them when you do composition writing. So this is what we mean. Although we are running through the rubrics, what we want you to see is that the other parts of the paper fall into place when you write a composition, because you need your grammar structures, you need strong vocabulary, relevant words, and you also need to think about how you want to put these words together, not just stuffing them with too many ideas.
Thank you. Oops. Can I remove this? Okay, let me just move it here. Okay, so that's composition writing. Of course, sequencing, paragraphing. Until today, I'm still asking students to paragraph their dialogue properly. Okay, you they're
Yes,
using
the
linking
missing
words.
quotation marks
Yes.
and even full stops, right down to full
Mm,
stops. They're not
yeah.
putting them at proper places.
Yes. Okay. So all these would be taken into consideration. In terms of oral, reading aloud, now there is a preamble, right, given to all of you before the passage. They will tell you who you are, okay, whom are you speaking to for what? And using that piece of information and the passage, you get an idea of the purpose, audience, and context, like what you do for situational writing. And given that purpose, audience, and context, who are you supposed to be expressing or delivering this speech? So if it's a storytelling competition, wow, you need to be really, you need to become the characters, you need to speak with emotions, etc. If you're delivering a speech in front of your school as a head prefect, how should you sound like confident, enthusiastic, right? So when we look at this effective variation of pitch and tone, this is a top band, right? It's not just there is pitch and tone, not just you're not monotonous, but it's effective. That means whatever you are trying to convey, the message gets through. So you want to encourage people to take part in sports day. Is there enthusiasm in your voice? Are you convincing? Are you energetic? If not, it's not so effective, correct? So you have to take note of this. You must really understand what are you delivering, okay? Then in terms of SBC, of course, we teach our students peer structure. So if you're a mind structure student, you're familiar with that, okay? The peer structure to organize your ideas so that we can make sure that we are sometimes extending the conversation, sharing relevant experiences, reflection, suggestions, and not just one sentence answers, just answering the question. Okay? So these are some things. We'll dive deeper once we go into the various component master classes, but this is just to give you an overview. Okay? Oops, let me remove this. Okay. So I mentioned this at the start of the webinar. I think grammar and vocabulary are absolutely important. You need to make sure that you know the rules, you know how to construct, then use those grammar rules, to construct sentences to do well in your SNT, okay? And of course, word transformation. So very quickly, just a fun quiz. What's your answer to question 1? You can just type it in chat, okay? MCQ, there are only two options. Okay, question 1. Blank am I speaking to? So let's test your grammar, okay? Yeah. Parents and students can try. Question 1. Is it who am I speaking to or whom am I speaking to? We already see differences, right, in the answers. Let's see. Question 1. Question 1. Oh, okay. So there are different answers for questions 1 and 2. Okay. Some people say, oh, 1 is who and 2 is whom. Okay. Everyone tried already? So we get a sense. Mr. Sham and I are looking at your answers. A lot of people are saying question 1, it's who. And question 2, it's whom. Correct? Okay, so this is the answer. I'm going to reveal the answer. The answer for both questions are the same. The answers for both questions are the same. Okay, so they're the same. You answer this question. So one thing that we teach our students, you try answering this question. So I am speaking to, is it he or him? Is it he or him? Is it he or him? Am I speaking to, if I answer this question, I am speaking to he or him. Him, right? Okay, so once it's a sentence, you know I'm speaking to him. Now, one way to easily remember is to look at the M at the end of him. Right? The M at the end of him. Here. So this is actually the object, the object of the sentence, right? The object of the sentence. He is the one being spoken to. He's the one receiving the speaking. Okay, so he's an object. He's the recipient of an action. So whether it's whom am I speaking to or to whom am I speaking, I've just shifted the to, but it's still the same meaning. Okay, so the answer is whom. Okay, so this is a super simple sentence, right? In SNT and in MCQ, you might get more complex sentences. So this is one of the rules we'll be covering when we conduct our grammar master classes, okay? So do stay tuned and sign up and we'll see you there. We are going to make sure that you can answer all who, whom questions correctly. We also cover this in class. So when a teacher goes through this, do pay attention and clarify. Okay? Okay, so this is who, whom. Oops. Okay. Question 3. We did 2 questions, right? What about question 3? This is question tag question. Okay, so what's your answer? Now there are 4 options. Alvin gave up just as I said he would. Blank he. Okay, so parents, you can try as well. Okay, I'm not sure if you agree with your child's answer, but both of you can try. Alvin gave up just as I said he would. Blank he. We have different answers. Okay. We have different answers. A, B, C, D, all kinds of answers. Okay. See, now they are being tricked, right? Okay, so let's take a look. Okay. This is purposely written to distract you. Alvin gave up just as I said he would. Blank he. A lot of you picked D. But what am I really talking about? Am I talking about he would, wouldn't he? Or is there something else? Is there another action? I'm A exclamation mark. Alvin gave up. So he did give up. I said he would. I said he would. It's some other piece of information. In the past, I said he would, and he really did give up. He really did give up. What's the opposite of did give up? Didn't give up. Did not give up. So the right answer is A. Right? The right answer is A. Right? Did give up. Just let me draw a line. Did give up versus, oops. Okay. Did give up and then didn't give up, did not, right? Did not. So that's the answer. A is the answer. Okay? So it's hadn't and hasn't, it wouldn't even be there because gave up is past tense, did give up. Wouldn't is wrong, there's a distractor, you're distracted here. Okay? So again, question tag. Can you answer all question tag questions correctly? Yes. Mr. Sham is sharing another question with everybody. You hardly exercise. Do you? Let me just paste this here, right? Mr. Sham shared. You hardly exercise. Do you? Because hardly means do not always or do not often. So do not, hardly. So in the question tag, we use do. Okay? So if you don't know
This
these
is
things, then
where we always tell them we have our Captain A's. A lot of them
yes.
protest and say, I can guess the answer by sight. So parents who are here, how many of your children actually tell you that? There's no need to do working. I somehow know the answer. Do they say things like that? If they do, please ensure they actually do a second take, because some questions seemingly they look seemingly easy, but you have to unpack them to derive the answer.
Yes. So it doesn't matter if you have been getting full marks or not, you can always be careless. So don't be complacent, okay? Even I've had a number of students who did very well in PSLE English last year. I'm sure Mr. Sham, she has many of her students did very well as well. And you notice that all the students who do very well, they have very similar habits and exam techniques. No matter how they're consistently doing well, but they don't take it for granted. They will make sure that they are careful. Okay, so cultivate that habit. Okay, don't be complacent. Okay. Oops. Okay. 3 questions, just a teaser, okay? Just to see if my apologies, there's a fourth one. I missed it. This is a very common one. What's your answer, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. What are the keywords in this question? So just now Mr. Sham talked about Captain Ace. So let's look at Captain Ace. Okay. So what are the keywords in this question that will point you to the right answer? Okay, we know these days means that any past tense verb is out. So C and D are out, okay, because it's present tense. Now we have to decide what's the subject of this sentence. Somebody said number of people, okay, but that's not enough for you to get the answer. We need to include the word the. The number of people. Is the number of people a singular or plural subject? So let me see the answers, Mr. Shah. What are they saying? A, B. Some people say B.
Yes,
What's the
most put
difference?
them as singular. So it's actually the percentage, the overall number.
Right? So the number is just one total, okay? One total amount. Whereas a number is just several or many, okay, depending on what you're trying to use it for. So the number is one quantity and therefore it's singular and therefore the answer is A, okay? B is out, it's not plural. Yeah. So when you do your working, do you do that? Okay, do you do your working and say, oh, this is out? Okay, this is not, this is the right answer. Okay, because some students put B, right? Okay, so the number, a number, another very tricky kind of question. Okay, so now another poll question for all of you. When we talk about low-hanging fruit, that means for these components, you know that you can, I wouldn't say easily, but I would say that in the shortest amount of time, pick up skills and knowledge to score in these components. So I wouldn't say easily, I would say you can quite quickly, a shorter period of time to do that. So vocabulary takes time to build, correct? Okay, so vocabulary takes time. What other components do you think are low-hanging fruit? Oh, can we start the second poll? Is the poll question up already? Let me see. Where is um Sweaty, could you help me with the poll question? Poll question number 2. Thank you. Okay, so what are the three, in your opinion, the three lowest hanging fruit? Okay. So, interesting. Yes. Maybe low-hanging fruit could mean easy, could mean that you can quickly gain skills to ace them, could mean that as well. Okay. Yeah. Listening comprehension, low-hanging fruit. Yeah. You listen, but you don't just listen. I've good listening skills. What's good listening skills? Do you just listen? Do you take down notes? So when last year for PSL, Mr. Sham conducted the listening comprehension workshop for our P6s, right? So we were going through how to take down notes, how to take down notes effectively while you're listening to arrive at the right answer. So these are exam skills, okay? It's not just I listen well. But yes, it is a low-hanging fruit, listening. The other one, let me end the poll so that we can share the results with everybody, right? So listening comprehension, yes, we agree it's a low-hanging fruit, but you still need exam skills, okay? Exam skills, grammar components, low-hanging fruit because rules can be learned. And if you look at past year questions or even what your schools give you for quizzes and tests, there are those number of those question types that often come up, all right? So you learn those rules and you practice them, and as long as you keep getting them right, you have conquered that question type, okay? Or you have learned that rule. Oral communication comes in third. Yes, oral communication is a low-hanging fruit. It's 20%. And you don't have to write a single thing, you don't have to write. No one is going to check your handwriting, right? No one's going to mark you down for handwriting. It's speaking only. So it is a low-hanging fruit, but we have to start early. Okay, so later on we're going to share with you what can you do to start early for oral communication. Some schools may give you more practices, some schools less because they are focusing on the written components. Okay, so yeah, we agree with you. Okay, let me stop share. So these are what I think. Yes, the low hanging. Writing takes some time. Writing takes some time, but once you get the right techniques and skills and make sure that your sentences are grammatical, you are on the way there. Okay. Writing and speaking. So I know it feels very comfortable and nice to do practices in components or topics that you're really good at, correct? So it's like, oh, if I'm very good at grammar, I always get full marks. Then I like to do grammar MCQ. Of course, you like it because every time you do it, you feel good about yourself. But we need to also pay attention to things that we are making mistakes in. So it's important to also identify your gaps. Like, where am I losing my marks? Okay, which component am I losing my marks? And what kind of questions am I making errors in? Then you practice those questions. Okay, focus on improving them. Vocabulary, we provide so many words in our mind stretching vocabulary list, our spelling booklets, vocabulary booklets. Words are everywhere. So you can start from our lists, our passages, okay? And every time you come across a word you don't know, find out the meaning and how it's being used in a variety of sentences. And one very quick way to do that is every time you come across something, a word, you can, with your parent, just Google, is this word used in a sentence? Examples of this word used in the sentence. And then you get the dictionary link and so on. You get some examples and you say, oh, this word can be used in a few ways. That's how you learn the vocabulary. Then you don't just read and go, okay, you read and then you try to use it in your speaking and in your writing. So once you learn a word, For example, today you learn the word for what's a really tough word for them?
Mundane.
Huh?
Mundane.
Mundane. Okay, so learn the word mundane and you learn how to pronounce it. Mundane, not mundane, right? Mundane, and you learn how to spell it. Okay, and then you learn different forms of the word, and then you try to use it in your sentence straight away. So you can tell mom, how is school? It's been a really rather mundane day. Okay, there's nothing interesting. Or I'm bored of this mundane life. Okay, so you can be a bit melodramatic. Is okay, as long as you try to use it in a sentence. Hmm. And then once you use it, you become confident, right? Hey, I know how to use this word. And then you can start to use it in your conversations or in your speaking. Okay, speak regularly. So I mentioned this in our subject briefing, right? Just recently, that when parents or when your children, you're trying to strike a conversation with your child, ask open-ended questions. If you ask, have you done your homework? Your child will say, yeah. That's the end of the conversation, right? Okay, so if you want to have a conversation, ask open-ended questions. Like, what's the biggest challenge you had to deal with when you're doing this paper? What was the most interesting thing that happened in school day? If you could change something about one thing today, what would it be? Ask open-ended questions so that they have to elaborate. They have no choice but to give you some elaboration, explanation, and examples. Okay, so that's a daily thing. You can do it in your conversations and don't let them off with a single utterance like don't let them off with that. Okay, ask for a complete sentence and you also model it to the best of your ability to show them that we are also trying to speak in complete sentences, okay, using right structures and so on. Write regularly, make sure to read. Okay, so at my stretcher we have an edu tool called Compo Coach. We are in the midst of tweaking it a little bit to make it even better, and we'll be relaunching it very soon. Okay, so stay tuned. Compo Coach is a platform where you can upload your compositions and it will mark it for you, and then you get immediate feedback. Okay, so once that's ready for you, I will announce it. Put in the effort of when your child submits a composition, and Mrs. Sham, for example, okay, returns the composition with all her markings and her feedback, and your child receives it, please don't just straight away look at the marks. I think you need to look at the comments and the type of errors your child has made, right? And then do the corrections. So students, you must do your corrections. Some teachers may not keep chasing you, but it is your responsibility to make sure that you do your corrections and submit it to your teachers. Okay? Because the teachers have so many students. You take responsibility for it and your parents can help to remind you. Correct your work. Or else uh there is no value from the teacher's marking, no matter how well the teacher marked. You must correct your work. Okay? And of course, consistency. That's why just now I talked about sustainable, right? Your efforts must be sustainable. You don't want to um not rest enough and not sleep enough, and then you start to have dark eye rings, look like a panda by February. We don't want that. Okay, you must get enough rest, do some sports. It's great for your health and so on. Choose activities that truly help you to relax. Okay, gaming really stimulates your brain. So it's actually not relaxing. You're still working your brain. Okay, so do sports, um, sing, dance. Okay, read a book, listen to music. All right, and have a schedule. Especially if you don't have a schedule, usually time will just pass, and then very soon you realize that you don't have enough time. Okay. Yes. Oh, composition feedback. Compo Coach is a tool that anyone, whether mind stretcher students or not, can access. We'll share more details. But anyone with an internet connection, okay, with a written composition, can submit and use. Okay, so we'll share more. Setting targets. Okay, this is where you need that PDF. So let's do a very quick target setting exercise. I'm not sure. Have all of you set your target for PSLE or your mid-year? Okay, your milestone check. Should com Okay, we have an interesting question that came in. Should compositions be written to entertain the teacher? Everyone's threshold for humor is a bit different. So I wouldn't say entertain the teacher or the reader, but it must be engaging because you have used certain techniques effectively. Okay, it's not like if I crack a few jokes in my composition and I'm going to do well. It's not that, right? So when we talk about engagement and interest, it is not subjective. It's not like someone likes this joke and the other person doesn't. It's when the teacher is looking out for the use of writing skills that work. Okay? And the teacher doesn't have to pause at every 3 words to correct a grammar error. Right? So it's not to entertain. It should be interesting and engaging because you have used the right techniques. Okay? Not cracking the right joke. It's not what we are talking about. Okay, so does everybody have this PDF? Let me stop share for a while and open up this PDF. Thank you, Sweaty. So my colleague Sweaty has shared the link. Okay, so you can download it if you haven't. Okay, you can download it if you haven't. We're going to do this together. Okay, we're going to do this together. So I'm going to pretend to be a student. You are a real student. You don't have to pretend anything. Okay, let me share this. Okay.
When setting targets, I think it is important to think about your own abilities, not set targets based on what your friends or other people's children have set for themselves. It's not like, oh, Mavis, what did your son say about his targets? Then I get my son to adjust his. It doesn't work like that. First of all, you have to know where your strengths are. And many of them, if you notice our P6s, sometimes I hear them talk, why I want an AL1 or 2, but then the next minute when you give out the worksheets, they say, oh, we have to write a compo today. It's so tiring. So it is not good enough to have targets. It is whether you are willing to work hard to get there.
Yes, your targets must match your actions. Okay, that's what I tell my son as well. You have a lofty goal, then your actions must match it, or else it's just a dream. It's not a target, right? It's just a dream. Okay, so make your wish come true, you must take action. Now, let's do this together. I'm going to pretend to be a student. I'm going to set the targets as well. And okay, so let's see. Now we know there are 4 components, the timing is there, the duration is there, the percentage is here. Okay, let's take a look at paper 1. Everybody, let's do this together. For paper 1, situational writing and continuous writing. You can further split the targeted marks into like 2 columns. Like, what are you getting currently? What are you getting currently? Okay, so you can split this further and you can do current, you can do like that, something like that. Now, and then maybe by May. Okay, this is my target. So you can have two digits. Okay, so let's say I'm a student, I want to set target. Oh, situational writing, I usually don't make grammatical errors. But sometimes my tone, I think my choice of words I can improve. So I'm not getting full marks yet. I tend to get about 13, okay? Or I might make a careless mistake once in a while. So, but I hope to get at least 13, if not full marks. Okay, but I think by mid-year, if I can get 13, I'm okay with it. Okay, what about continuous writing? What's my target? I've been getting 27, 28, and I really want to get 30, at least 30 for now. Okay, by mid-year, so okay, 30. So what's your target? All of you. So when you total it up, my total is 43. I'm not sure what's your total, but you just keep that number there, okay? Okay, paper 1, done. Paper 2, there are so many components. So grammar MCQ, okay, for me, I usually do quite well in grammar MCQ, but sometimes there are tricky questions. So I think for me, maybe I aim 8 first. Some students might be aiming 10, go ahead. I'll aim 8 first. Vocab MCQ. My vocab is not bad, but sometimes there are some really tricky options. So I think getting 4 is a good try. Grammar, vocab close, tricky as well. Maybe my target is 4. Okay, visual text comprehension. I can always spot the clues and I do my working. I make sure I do my working and I spot the clues. And usually I get full marks. Sometimes 4, but I aim to get 5. Okay, I want to get full marks for this. Grammar close, I always get full marks and I want to keep getting full marks. So I'm going to put 10. Editing, I aim to get full marks. My spelling is not bad. I usually can spell tricky words. I can spell necessary. I can spell disappointment. Okay, I can spell these words correctly, so I'm quite confident. Okay. Comprehension close. Wow, comprehension close is quite tough for me. Sometimes I can't find a clue, and sometimes my answers are not right. I just don't know the word. So what can I do? Okay, I want to make sure I at least get a double digit. So 10. Okay, my target for at least by me, 10. Synthesis and transformation. I try my best, but once in a while I see a question that I've not seen before. I'm not so sure. So I think 8. I need to get at least an 8. Compre OE. I've been getting 10 to 12. I aim to get at least 14. Okay. Now if I add this all up, about 73. Okay, 73. So have all of you filled in? Do your total? Editing has changed from 12 to 10. Yes. So now there are usually, when they set the question, there'll be 5 grammar errors and 5 spelling errors. That could change, but that's usually what we see. Okay? Yes. So this is the most updated. Okay, the from 2025, the new exam format. Okay. Paper 3, listening. What's all your target? Listening, I'm quite a good listener, but some questions are super tricky, like the map question, the one with so many arrows. I always can't get it. So if I can get 18, I think I'm fine. Okay, so 18, 18. I hope to get full marks. 18 first. Oral. Reading aloud. Sometimes I'm nervous and I make like a slip or I read something wrongly, so I'm not getting full marks yet. I want to at least get 12 by May. If I can get 15, that would be great. Stimulus based conversation, I am still learning how to use the peer structure. So now I can explain, but my teacher often has to prompt me to give examples or to share an experience. So I hope to at least get 20 first, and slowly I want to move towards I think 23 and then eventually full marks. Okay, so now done. 32. 32. And then you tally everything. Okay, all of you tally everything. Good. Count the total. So for me, it's about 166, right? And that's 83%. And how many AL? What AL is that? 83%. 83, what AL is that? AL3. Then now you see, I'm aiming for AL1, Mrs. Shum. I'm aiming for AL1. So, oh no, I think I have
Yes,
to,
actually, you have cited, in fact, your
yeah.
target scores are pretty high, given that you
Mm,
can be careless at times.
yes.
You see, actually, I hope all parents can see this. AL3 is
Mm,
actually no mean feat.
yeah, it's not easy.
It's a
Mm,
very strong score. So don't for one set, say AL1 to 2, without looking at how tiring this paper is. English
mm,
is one of the most tiring papers because there are 4 parts, and there's almost no chance of getting an AL1 if there is carelessness, bad handwriting, bad grammar, and vague words that are used. So we look at reading aloud. Many of our children, they tend to do this very, how do we say, very casually. They rush
mm.
through the passage. And Mavis, if they rush through, I don't think it's 12 out of 15. It might
Lower
drop to a 10 out of 15. This
because they
is
start making
why,
mistakes.
yeah,
Mm,
this is why targeting is good, but your child has to start thinking where he or she really has to pull up his socks or her socks. So can you scroll up to the paper 2 again, booklet A? Yes. grammar MCQ. This is where a lot of things can go wrong. If children stare and guess, they forget to break things up, Say, for example, if those 4 questions that were featured, every single one was done carelessly, that is 4 marks out of 10 gone already. Vocabulary, the same thing they do. They stare and they say, I think this sounds okay. And they put a number down. Vocabulary close. Can you put a star there actually? That's a killer because a lot of them end up getting 1 out of 5. They're looking for dictionary meaning rather than a word that fits exactly back into the passage. So this section is a trap. And definitely synthesis and transformation. Some of the given sentences look very easy. So if you don't think about what is being tested, for example, all of my friends love durians. Then if they give you nobody or none, are you going to say none of my friends dislike durian or likes durian? Singular, plural, positive or negative liking. So all these are traps. Comprehension, I think we need to warn them. From last year onwards, they have removed the 1, 2, 3 sequencing question, which is very easy, replacing almost 70% of the questions with lines. So full sentences must be written. So those of you who do not like to write sentences, do not have full stops, or you start your sentence with as or because or but, then you are in trouble. You need to write grammatically. So that's where comprehension OE is it's quite challenging, because not only they have to derive the answer, they have to write it in a way that would give them a mark.
Yes. So thank you, Mr. Sham, for sharing. Doing this target setting helps you or helps your child to see that it is not easy. And it also helps you to adjust your expectations at this stage, right? Because we have a number of months. So at this stage, where are we at? So let's say my goal is to eventually get AL1 for PSLE, for example. And I know, oh, that means to get AL1, I have to do better in the next few weeks, next few months. I have to increase my scores for some of the low-hanging fruit components, right? So grammar, I must try to get 10 and so on. Okay, so you can then see what you need to work on. And of course, the targets can change along the way. This is not a fixed list, right? Most important thing is it motivates you. It doesn't demoralize you. So targets shouldn't demoralize you. Should motivate you, give you a very clear goal, okay, so that you can work towards it. A parent is asking about vocab clues, right? So how do you determine the best answer? There's no rubric per se. There's an answer key. So for vocab clues, during our sharing sessions, our workshops, our boot camps, there are a few things the child has to do. So vocab clues, there's a text. You must understand the text. And then you have to understand how is this word used in this sentence in relation to the whole text, right? Because some words are used in different ways. And that's why just now I said, if you see a word, don't just say, oh, okay, this is the definition of the word. No, you're going to find out how is it used in different sentences. What do they mean? Because the meanings could differ, right? Okay, so given that underlined bold word, there are 4 options. Which one is closest to it in terms of meaning and use in the passage? So sometimes you say, it's the same meaning in the dictionary, but no, it does not work in the passage. So that cannot be the answer. Okay, so there's some techniques we teach our students. Just stay tuned. They are upcoming. A lot of support given to all of you, okay? All right, so let me stop share over here. You can make multiple prints of this target setting sheet and adjust your targets along the way, okay? Okay, let's see. Let me pause here for a while. There are some Q&A questions. Let's see if there is anything. Oh. For English, there is no vocabulary list to memorize, unlike Chinese language, right? Okay, so don't have. Is it possible? For tenses, now with the internet, if you need a very quick list of verb and tenses, that means the present, simple past, simple past, past perfect, present perfect. Or if you need the whole list, you can find them online easily if you need that compilation. So I know some schools purchase primary English books with all these words from letter A to Z. Okay, so you can refer to those as well. Okay. Okay, so is this my last poll question? Poll question three. This is for parents, right? Let's post this poll. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sean. Mr. Sean is sharing an example. Okay. So which components, parents, do you feel least equipped? Mm. Just share with us. Just give us an idea. I know, I know parents are already trying your best, right? And you are when you for components that you might not feel so equipped, you're already seeking help. You are here at my stretcher. Okay, you're getting a teacher's help and so on. Yeah, okay. Composition, answering techniques. Mm, answering techniques. For every component, there are answering techniques. Yeah. Because Mr. Shah and I we have been running boot camps and we always go through these things. Just have to apply. We don't apply, then it's a bit tough. Mm. Okay. Thank you for sharing your responses with us. Okay. So composition writing remains the most challenging. Composition writing remains the most challenging. Yes. I mean, the last time we wrote composition, if I'm not a teacher, the last time I wrote a composition would be when I was in secondary school. Okay, an essay, a composition maybe in primary school. So definitely we are quite, if you're not a teacher, you're not in education, might be quite detached. We do provide model composition. So parents, when your child brings home his or her marked composition and the model composition, you can take a look at the model composition. Our model compositions, it's annotated, so you can tell what kind of techniques have been used, the vivid vocabulary that have been used correctly. Okay, and that could be a good starting point for you so that you don't feel like there's nothing you can do. You can take a look at the model, remind your child to do corrections, and also model after some of these paragraphs that we have created in the models so that they can practice writing a variety of sentence structures. Okay, using a variety of sentence structures and learning spelling. Okay. Answering techniques we teach, like Captain Ace is a particular answering technique. Comprehension, we have ALP. Okay, so different oral exams, we have the peer structure. So there are various techniques that we cover in our classes and also in our upcoming master classes. Okay. All right. Oh, there is a poll. Question number 4. So let's see what you think so we can adjust our advice for you. Okay. Poll number 4. Because some of these things people talk about is, oh, we need to read more storybooks, right? Or you need to read newspaper, to improve your English. So what are your thoughts, parents? Uh, we have a number of months before PSLE, so can we pull out this poll? How to get highest marks in compo? Get the band 5 for all. Everything that we've gone through. And we'll be conducting a four-part or 4-session workshop for composition writing. The first one is next Saturday from 7 to 9:30. There'll be 4 sessions fortnightly. Okay, so please join us. We'll dive deeper. Okay, so Arjun, please join us. Okay. Mm. Okay, we're waiting for the poll results to come in. What we are seeing now is that many parents are saying practice with as many English exam sets as possible. So I want to talk about this first, right? Because I also see these exam sets. So they could be school prelim papers, they could be assessment books, practice papers. It's important that the child doesn't just do it. The child has to check the answer. And then some assessment books have explanations. Great. Okay. Are the explanations always correct? I'm not sure. I hope they are. We wouldn't know because we are not pouring through every book. Okay. But um check the answers, the explanations. And if you still don't understand why you've gotten something wrong, or you remember that your teacher said this answer is actually incorrect, check. Because answer key, there could be errors in answer keys, okay? Especially school papers. Answer keys there are sometimes quite a lot of errors. So always clarify with your teachers if something looks strange. Like I thought this is the right answer. Why is it wrong? Always clarify. That's one of my very hardworking students do as well. Okay, they'll always ask when they don't know. So do that, and corrections must be done. Right? Be aware of common mistakes students make. Yes, not just students, but maybe your child. Okay, review the exam papers. So P5 end of year exam paper, I hope you haven't thrown it away. You can bring it back out and see, again, zoom in, right? Paper 2, where are the gaps? Okay. Feedback for paper 1 and paper 3 as well. If the teacher has given you some sort of written feedback or marked out on a rubric. Okay. English storybooks, like I mentioned earlier on. For leisure, okay, but for vocab building, we have to be more strategic. Okay, because some storybooks, writers can write anything they want. So we cannot say, oh, learn good vocabulary from storybooks. We are not so sure what book you are reading. So there are some things you can do to support your child, whether it's paper 1 or 2. And I think the most important thing is to make sure that they have a schedule that's sustainable and that they do their corrections. That's the most important. Okay, so I like to talk about this. You know, when we or students, actually, I need to tell students this, right? When your parents ask about your homework, be patient. Share with them what has been covered in school, what has been covered in my stretcher. Share with them what you are still finding a bit hard to understand, whether it's in English or other subjects, right? So that your parents can help you. Okay, and be your accountability buddy. So if you need someone to practice speaking, okay, your parent could be there to listen to you, and if you get stuck, your parent could ask a prompting question. Okay, accountability buddy also means that your parent will have to take a look at your work, so don't hide it and stuff it into your bag and then say, I don't want to show you. Okay, please show it to your parents so that they can review it with you, and then they can be more targeted and ask the teacher for specific strategies to help you. Okay, so parents, be your child's accountability buddy. If there's a schedule, okay, playtime is over, then it's now back to doing work. So just keep them on track. I know it's not easy. I struggle with that too, but we try our best to have some sort of a schedule for them. Learn vocabulary together, like I mentioned earlier on. Okay, if you learn a new word, then both of you use it together in a sentence. Okay, try to. It can be a funny sentence. It can be something that might be a bit nonsensical, but you're using. Okay, encourage mindful rewriting. This is what I mentioned earlier on. Okay, and any of our master classes, workshops, please join. For our students, it'll be complimentary, right? You'll get the link. Come and learn. Okay? Let me see. Is that first? Thank you. Okay. So now we have about 10 minutes. Let's see. Let me take a look at the Q&A. Mr. Sham, please feel free to address any of these questions you are seeing as well. Let's see. Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Shum, for sharing. Mrs. Shum has been teaching and speaking a lot. She's now having a sore throat. Okay, so she's typing furiously instead. Okay. Um, yes. Where do we access the master classes? More information will be given to our students. We'll be giving you a schedule so they block out time to come for the master classes. Okay.
Maybe I just add one more point. I noticed that a lot of parents feel that doing exam papers will help. They definitely will help because the children get accustomed to the way the papers are. However, if your child is particularly weak in certain areas, or weak for several components, it might be a wiser idea to break the paper down and focus on the ones that need more improvement, such as comprehension, vocabulary close, or comprehension close. The other way is also to set a reasonable time. Don't Some children are more easily tired than others. So instead of asking them to do the whole paper all at one shot, you might want to say, today we just do synthesis and comprehension. Okay, in 40 minutes, finish these two sections. And then from there, you work towards pacing your child more effectively and also seeing the specific kind of questions they are always stuck at. I think that's very important because some of them are like Mavis and my students, they will say, oh, we always get true false wrong, or we
Mm.
always get the boxed up questions wrong, the 4-part flow chart wrong. So if that's the case, then focus more on that kind of questions. That would be better than forcing them to do so many papers and feeling so down because the marks never ever go up. They kind of hit a plateau.
Mm. Thank you, Mrs. Shum. Okay, my colleague Swetly has shared a link. So when you click on the link, you will arrive here. Okay, nice fireworks, interesting background, but don't get distracted by that. This is so we are conducting 4 sessions, okay? So every session has its own focus. So in session 1 that's happening next Saturday, we are looking at the introduction, so hooking the readers. Session 2, we're looking at effective or very rising actions that work. Session 3, climax, and lastly, to really conclude the composition properly, which is something that all our students struggle with because you spend the last 3 minutes writing your conclusion. Okay, so that shouldn't be the case. All right. So do sign up for all the sessions. I hope you can make it. If not, the videos will be shared online, but it's best if you join us so that if you have any questions, we can address them directly. Okay? So we hope to see you. Okay, do just register and it's free for everybody. Share with your friends and so on. Okay? Other questions? Let's see. Oh, is teacher Amos here too? Hi. Oh, we have more teachers here. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Yes, all 4 sessions are FOC. We want to help as many students as possible. Okay, so we will do it for all of you. Separate classes for general English and writing. At my stretcher, we have our English courses. We have English, right? And then there is for P6, it'll be the A-star writer. So A-star writer, it's mainly writing, paper one skill. So just now I talked about how to make a composition highly interesting and all that. So we'll be diving deep into these writing skills and techniques that you learn and then you can use. So for our English classes, we cover all components, paper 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Is there a site that can help mark my child's compo? We launched it last year, but now we are making it even better and we'll be relaunching it very soon. Okay, so just follow us and we will let your child's teacher know as well so they can share it with your child once it's ready. Okay. Does too many
Actually,
words
for
affect the
compo,
writing?
right, we give out models. So what your
Mm,
child can do is, for every composition, there are 3 pictures they could have used. And most of our models are based on one of them. So what you can do is to practice looking at our model, but using another picture, but modifying the words or at least emulating the sequence of sentence type to start a new compo. That's what you can do with our
yeah.
existing models as well.
Yes. students are asking, how many words should I write in a combo? Or would the number of words affect the writing? Okay, so in the rubric there's content, right? You need to be able to fully develop the topic. So if you write 3 paragraphs, 1 page, are you able to fully develop the topic? Uh, quite unlikely, right? Quite unlikely. So to fully develop, we need you to develop the plot, the characters' behavior, their reactions, okay, what lesson did they learn, and so on. So that's if it's too short. What happens when it gets too long? So I have students who ask me, can I write like 7 pages? Please do not write 7 pages, right? You don't have you won't have time to check and you'll be writing too quickly, you make a lot of errors because we've seen that. So it's not the number of words, but did you plan and did you follow your plan and make sure that all parts of the composition have been you have met your own expectations for all parts of the composition? And did you include paragraphs that are irrelevant? I I we're just starting the we met our P6s for I just started a new P6 class, right? So I see some compositions. The first 2 paragraphs are actually totally irrelevant. The story really only started in paragraph 3. So time is wasted, right? And now you have you have something that's hanging there and it's not making sense to the reader. So we'll clean all these up, we'll polish our skills, and this shouldn't happen over time. Okay, so you need to check. It's not the number of words. Doesn't mean that you write like very impressive 1 page introduction that you'll do well. You could make more mistakes, right? That affects your language marks. Are there keywords in English? Yes, in questions there are keywords. You're supposed to underline them, right? So that they point you to the right answer. Every component would have all components. English class, let's say primary 6 English achiever class, we cover all components. So it's a cycle. So maybe this week we look at composition and then a word list, a short practice, and the following week we look at closed passages and so on. So we cover all the components. Compo coach, I'm also very excited about it. Okay, so once it's ready, we'll tell all of you. Okay, we'll make sure everybody knows. So follow us on Telegram. Okay, follow us on Telegram. If you're a student, you receive email updates as well. Okay. Flashbacks in compo group. Flashback technique depends on what you're trying to achieve. What's your purpose? Does not always work well. So there's a right way to use flashback. Okay, we'll dive deeper. Where should I put my most effort in for compositions? Nicholas. Where should you put your the whole composition? From planning, from question analysis to planning to writing to checking. That's where you should put all your effort. There is no most from start to end. Okay. How can you oh, we also have our listening edu tool. So you can again we'll be relaunching all these more exciting versions of them. And then you can do your practice. Okay. We want to help all of you in all your components. Okay. Topic is slightly out of place. If it's slightly off, then it will affect the content marks, right? Oh, a lot of technical questions, Mr. Sham. We'll address all these during the compo writing workshop, okay? A lot of technical questions, huh? We'll dive deeper. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Are there any other? Yes, so it has shared our Telegram. So parents, I know your child might not be on Telegram, but you are. So please do join our Telegram channel, and that's where we update workshops, webinars, materials, goodies, okay? They're all there. Okay. Have I answered most of the questions? How to improve compre close? You need the right techniques. You need to know what to look out for collocations, phrasal verbs. How to find keywords in comprehension? There are certain words that are keywords. Hari Priya, are you a mind stretcher student? So we do go through the questions for keywords as well. Okay. Yes. So when your teacher goes through and then you look at the question, is it a when, what 5W1H, which one? Or do you see a question that begins with explain why, 2 marks? That should tell you something, right? Explain why means 2 marks means there are two parts of the answer, two reasons maybe, or one reason and one elaboration. The reason part could be found in the text, the elaboration is inferential. See, so I'm able to tell you this because we have gone through so many questions and we've set questions, we have looked at papers. So you need to know all these question types. Okay, then you're closer to giving them what they want. Okay, I think we'll dive deeper into composition writing in the upcoming weeks. Thank you, Haripriya. Session, 21st March is Hari Raya. Okay, 21st March, Hari Raya. Let me review this. Thank you very much. Okay, let us get back to you. But sign up for session one first. Sign up for session one first. And then for 21st March session, let me review it. And then if there's an update, we'll inform you, or you will just see the updated date reflected on the site. Okay. Yes, for the listening compre, yes, there'll be audio and then there'll be questions for them to try. Okay, thank you. So Shafia, if there's a change in the date, we'll notify everybody. Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Mr. Sham. Thank you, Sweat E. And thank you, Amos. Teacher Amos is also here with us. Okay, but he is incognito mode. Okay. Uh, and thank you everybody, students and parents, for joining us. We hope this has been useful. Okay, as a general idea, and do join us for the more deep dive master classes and workshops. Okay. So if there's nothing else, please have a very good night and we shall see you very soon. Okay, bye.